an empire that could no longer hold. When the Han dynasty finally collapsed in 220 CE, it marked the end of one of the most stable and culturally influential empires in world history. But unlike the fall of the Qin, the end of the Han did not produce immediate unity under a new ruler. Instead, it left behind a vacuum of power so vast that it pulled the entire Chinese world into decades of war. The Han state had rotted from within long before its official end. Eunuchs, corrupt officials, powerful landowners, and warlords had hollowed out imperial authority. The emperor still existed, but real power belonged to generals who commanded armies and controlled territory. China did not fall apart overnight. It fractured slowly, painfully, and violently. This was not merely the collapse of a dynasty. It was the collapse of trust in the imperial order itself, the rise of military power. As central authority faded, regional generals became the true rulers of China. These warlords raised their own armies, collected taxes, and governed territories as independent states, while still claiming loyalty to the Han emperor in name only. Among dozens of contenders, three figures would rise above all others: Cao Cao in the north, Liu Bei in the west, Sun Quan in the south. Each represented a different vision of power, legitimacy, and rule. Their rivalry would define an age. Order through ruthlessness. Cao Cao was the most powerful and controversial figure of the age. A brilliant general, administrator, and poet, he believed that chaos could only be defeated through strict control and decisive action. Cao Cao did not claim moral purity. He embraced pragmatism. Loyalty, in his view, was earned through stability and reward, not sentiment. He famously declared that he would rather betray the world than allow the world to betray him. Under his leadership, northern China was stabilized. Agriculture was restored through state-controlled farming systems. Armies were supplied efficiently. Order returned at a cost. To many, Cao Cao was a tyrant. To others, he was the only man capable of saving China from endless war. Legitimacy through virtue. In stark contrast stood Liu Bei, a distant relative of the Han imperial family. Unlike Cao Cao, Liu Bei lacked land, armies, and wealth for much of his early life. What he possessed instead was reputation. Liu Bei cultivated an image of humility, compassion, and moral righteousness. He presented himself as the true defender of the Han legacy, ruling not through fear, but through virtue. His strength lay in loyalty, both given and received. Where Cao Cao inspired obedience, Liu Bei inspired devotion, power through balance. In the south, Sun Quan inherited a strong regional base built by his father and brother. Unlike Cao Cao's centralized authority or Liu Bei's moral appeal, Sun Quan ruled through careful balance. He listened to advisors, rewarded talent, and avoided unnecessary risks. His kingdom, Wu, became a maritime and river-based power, controlling trade routes and benefiting from the natural defenses of southern China. Sun Quan was neither idealist nor tyrant. He was a survivor, the battle that changed everything. The defining moment of the Three Kingdoms period came in 208 to 209 CE at the Battle of Red Cliffs. Cao Cao, commanding a massive northern army, sought to crush his southern rivals and reunify China. Opposing him was a fragile alliance between Liu Bei and Sun Quan. Despite being outnumbered, the southern forces used strategy, geography, and deception. Fire ships sent into Cao Cao's fleet turned the river into an inferno. Disease, unfamiliar terrain, and poor coordination shattered Cao Cao's army. Red cliffs ended Cao Cao's dream of immediate unification. China would remain divided: Wei, Shu, and Wu. By 220 CE, the political division was formalized. Wei, founded by Cao Cao's son, Cao Pi, in the north Shu, established by Liu Bei in the west Wu, ruled by Sun Quan in the south, each claimed legitimacy. Each believed heaven favored them. The Han was gone. The three kingdoms had arrived. Wisdom against fate. Perhaps the most legendary figure of the era was Zhuge Liang, strategist and statesman of Shu. Renowned for his intellect, foresight, and loyalty, Zhuge Liang embodied the Confucian ideal of the loyal minister. He dedicated his life to preserving Shu and restoring the Han legacy. His northern expeditions against Wei were bold but costly. Though brilliant, Zhuge Liang lacked resources. Strategy alone could not overcome material disadvantage. His death symbolized the limits of virtue in a brutal world, a generation raised in conflict. For decades, warfare continued. Borders shifted, cities fell, alliances changed. No kingdom could deliver decisive victory. The population suffered most. Farmland lay abandoned. Families were displaced. Entire regions were depopulated. This was not heroic war. It was exhausting war, romance and reality. Centuries later, the Three Kingdoms would be immortalized in the novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Loyalty, brotherhood, and heroism were emphasized. Characters became legends, but the historical reality was harsher. Betrayal was common. Ideals were compromised. Survival demanded cruelty. Yet the legends endured because they expressed what people wished history had been: the end of the Three Kingdoms. Over time, the Wei state gained the upper hand. Internal power struggles weakened it, but also gave rise to a new ruling family, the Sima clan. In 265 CE, the Sima family seized power and founded the Jin dynasty. By 280 CE, Jin forces conquered Wu, ending the Three Kingdoms period. China was unified once more, but it was not healed. Why the Three Kingdoms still matter? The Three Kingdoms period is remembered not because it created stability, but because it exposed the limits of power, virtue, and ambition. It showed that order without legitimacy cannot last. Virtue without strength cannot survive. Balance without unity leads to endless war. This era shaped Chinese ideas of loyalty, leadership, and tragedy more than any other. History ended. Legend began.